let me turn this stuff off here. All
Do
right.
that volume.
Yep.
All
I
right,
turned
they
that
can
on
hear us.
first.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to talk about tonight. We're actually going to touch on a lot of little things tonight. One of the things that we're going to do, I'm going to let my son tell you about this here, but this is impossible to weed.
Let me see if I can get up close. I don't know how it's going to turn out or not, but
Yeah, that don't look bad. You can see it almost.
so
Maybe-
that's the sticker.
Maybe the blue one you can see a little bit easier. Try holding that one up there. These things have way too much detail, so if you look around that back edge, around the DCI Motorsports, he
it's
made
the
it look
tire
like
tread.
our
Yeah.
he made it look like our sign, but man, it's hit a bear to weed. So anyway, we haven't forgot about you guys with the stickers. We are definitely going to be getting these taken care of for you guys, but we're going to make them a little bit bigger, and we're going to get rid of all that background noise.
Yeah, so basically it's going to be just take the tread off. And the outline part you'll see is going to say DCI Motorsports Unleashed. It's going to have the checker flag still. So,
Yeah, because it takes my daughter-in-law roughly, 20 minutes to weed one of those? 15 minutes to weed each one of those. And we've got, I think 30 guys. Yeah, 30 guys that want them. So that's a lot of time, and we're going to have to cut that way down. So that's not going to... Yeah, I'm looking out for my baby girl there. She needs she got better things to do than weed my stickers for me. So we'll get it figured out. We'll get those straightened out for you guys. So we haven't forgot about you. We are going to get them.
yep, work in progress.
The other thing is, can you bring up Grandpa's the post that I put on Facebook of Grandpa's car at Norwalk? Because I want to talk about that a little bit tonight. He's got a '69 Grand Prix. Some of you know, some of you don't, but it's pretty much a bone stock car, except for it's got a 455 in it now instead of it was a 428 car.
You talking about this one here?
Nope. Keep going down a little bit. Right there. Yep.
All right.
So share that with them. I mean, some people have already seen that already, but I just want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about here. But anyhow, this is my dad driving this car right now at Norwalk last year, and he was 83 years old. He's 84 now. So I like bragging on the old guy. He's still drag racing, and he's the one that got me hooked on Pontiacs whenever I was a kid. We got pictures of me in diapers sitting on the back of a 60 Pontiac convertible whenever I was a baby. So I've been around Pontiacs my whole life. But anyway, this car, the best my dad's ran with it was 1177, I think, at 116. My brother's went a little bit quicker in it. On this pass here, I think it ran 1180 something. I don't remember now exactly. But anyways, I did some math to calculate the horsepower on this thing. Now let me tell you about his combo. His combination is a 455 30 over. It's got an Eagle connecting rod in it, H-beam rod. It's got a factory crank, cast crank in it. It doesn't have an aftermarket crank in it. So it's an actual 455 30 over, which is like a 460, 62, I believe. And it's got just a TRW forged piston in it. It doesn't have anything trick. So it's a heavy rotating assembly. It's not an ultra-light rotating assembly. The cylinder heads are number 62s, which I opened up the combustion chambers on because of the compression ratio. And we run this on pump gas. This is a pump gas motor with an iron head. And it's got a solid flat tappet cam in it. It doesn't have a roller cam in it. And the heads are ported. I ported them here, and they flow 288 at like 600 inches of lift. And it's got a Victor intake manifold on it with a 1000 CFM quick fuel carburetor. And the header's way too small on this combination. He's got an 1 3/4 tube header, and it really needs to have a 2-inch tube header on it. But it works. And his stall converter, I believe, is 36 or 3800.
38, I think, yeah.
3,800, and it's got a Ford 9-inch under it with a 370 gear. Now he drives this car to the track, and it averages, it's got to be somewhere around 13, 14 mile a gallon. And like I said, it runs 1170s, 1180s consistently. And now Norwalk, because the heat and the altitude the track's at already, when we go to Norwalk, we're usually racing at somewhere around 3,000 feet. And that day that he ran was actually 3,044 feet. Brian, I can't remember his last name. I just was looking at it, but he shared a time slip with me on from Norwalk that showed the altitude that day was 3,044 feet. Let's see here. Bring up Brian here real quick. Where is that? All right.
Oh, Brian Hooley.
Yeah, Brian Hooley. Yep. Thank you, Brian, for sharing that with me, buddy. I appreciate that. So what I did was the observed horsepower, I calculated the observed horsepower with the vehicle weight and the trap speed, which is 116 mile an hour. And we came up with, at the track at 3,044 feet with 70% humidity, and it was 82 or 81 degrees that day. The horsepower that day at the track, as you've seen it go down the track, was 510 horsepower. That's flywheel horsepower, not rear wheel. And so I took the altitude and I went to Wallace's calculator, or maybe it wasn't Wallace. Yeah, I think it was Wallace's. And we did the corrected ET and mile per hour for sea level. If we could race at that, and the car would run 1133 to 120 mile an hour. And the corrected horsepower would be 607 at the flywheel. Now keep in mind, this is a flat tappet cam with factory iron head. This is not an Edelbrock head engine with a roller cam. This is and it's only got a little under 10 to 1 compression. It's like 9.89 to 1 compression is what the compression ratio is. And he drives that car to the track. He drives it all over the place. I mean, he takes it golfing. He drives it everywhere.
Yep.
And so it's a reliable, we'll call it a high 11-second car with factory iron heads and basically a factory bottom end except for forged rods and pistons.
Well, other than oil changes too, he hasn't done anything to that motor since
we put it back together. We freshened it up about 3 years ago, I think, or maybe 4 years.
I think it was longer than that now.
It might be. It might be 5 or 6 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe longer. Because we didn't paint the car until about 15 years ago. And we freshened the engine shortly. It might be 10 years since we freshened that engine.
Yeah.
So he's probably got, I don't know, 30, 40,000 miles on that car now.
And
Engine, I should say.
Yeah, and he takes it to the track once a year.
Yep.
And drives it everywhere.
Yeah, he used to go to the track quite a bit, and some of the guys had even commented on my Facebook post that I put on there that they ran into him at the racetrack at Dragway 42, because he raced a lot at 42. We raced a lot at Youngstown Drag City. We raced a lot at Quaker City. We didn't get to Norwalk too awful much because that's a long drive. It's roughly about an hour and a half drive from where we're at. So we stayed at our local tracks. But when he could go to the racetrack, when he was younger, he was there. He was racing.
Yep.
And that's on a DOT tire through the mufflers. I mean, it's exactly the way he drives it to the track. He does not change tires. He doesn't pull the exhaust system off. He doesn't have cutouts. It's exactly the way he drives the car.
3-inch exhaust, I think, right?
Used to. Well, no, it does have 3-inch exhaust. Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought he put 2.5 back on it, but it's still 3-inch. But yep. So I just thought I'd share with you guys. You guys were asking about that combination. The cam is actually a custom ground solid lifter comp cam that I designed for the engine, and it's nothing real crazy. It's only got. To some guys it sounds crazy, but it's really not that crazy. It's mid 250s on the intake and high 260s on the exhaust at 50 thousandths, and lobe separation. It's got a tight lobe separation. And for all you guys worried about power brakes, that car's got power brakes, and the lobe separation is a 106, and the lift is right around 600. So, but yeah, it's a reliable combination. He's had together for years, and drives the heck out of that thing. And I don't think he's adjusted the valve since I put it together. So it's been probably 30,000 miles ago. It needs the valves adjusted. He barely changes the spark plugs in. I think he did change the plugs before he went to Norwalk.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and the oil.
I know he did, because I think Luke did it.
Yeah, Luke changed the oil and spark plugs in it for him. But yeah, I mean, you know what? It's just a cool car. And the car weighs 4,200 pounds with him in it. So it's not a lightweight. It's all steel car. There's no fiberglass on that car at all. Yep. The hood's steel. The bumpers are steel. We painted them because it costs damn much money to chrome plate them. And
I think it looks better.
Yeah, I do too. I think it takes the old man look away. It makes it look more sporty.
That, and I think it looks classy, like a tuxedo.
Yeah, it's just a cool car. He gets a lot of attention. You know, he'll go to a local cruise in, and people love it because it's got a nice idle to it too. It sounds good.
Yep.
But yeah, some of you guys might have got to see that this last year. I think you know. I know Mark Marshall watched it, and I don't know who else, but it's cool seeing the old man go down the track still. Mm-hmm. Every year he tells me he's not going to do it again because he's a little bit intimidated now because. He is worried that, you know, he's not going to be able to control the car because his reactions are getting slower, but, you know, he still does pretty good. I got to give him kudos. This last summer, he needed a roof on his garage, and it's, I don't know, what do you think, maybe 12, 14 feet high?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, on the edge, you know, where the gutter goes. And the old man climbed up and down the ladder and replaced all the rotten boards on the eave and everything, and a couple of boards up on the up higher. He peeled the shingles off of it, and thank God he did, because it made my son and I's job a lot easier. We got there and we got the roof done in about a half a day, where if that stuff wasn't done, we would have had to probably work there a day and a half to get it all done.
Yep.
That's because Grandpa's a badass.
Grandpa is a badass. For 84 years or 83 years old, climbing up and down a ladder with a hammer and nails and wood.
Right?
I don't know too many 83, 84-year-old guys that do that.
I don't even know any 28, 38-year-olds.
Amen. You're right. You're right about that. So, but yeah, you guys have been asking about that combination, so I wanted to share that with you. It's really simple. It's really not, it's all in the cylinder head is where it's at. It's a good flowing cast iron factory cylinder head is what it is.
Yep.
Still has 211, 177 valves in it. Doesn't have a big valve in it. But yeah, it's just a good combination. It works.
All right, we got Dwayne Myers with us. He says, "Good evening, guys."
Good evening.
Cindy Johnson says, "Happy Valentine's Day." Happy Valentine's Day, Mom.
That's my baby.
And Philip III says, "I was late joining y'all last week, so I made it a point to be early this week. In fact, I was so early that I'm already 2 beers ahead of you, Don."
I'm sure you are, because this is my first one.
And then Old School Twist. Ah, he made it Old School Twist again. He's not just O anymore.
What?
Last week he was O.
Oh.
He says,
fix that, huh?
He says, "Good evening, y'all."
Good eevening.
And Johnson CNC Designs is here, of course. And John Dorbush says, "Yep, it's me." Bill Rosenberg says, "Happy Valentine's Day." And Philip III says, "It is a nice looking old Grand Prix."
Yep.
And he also said, "I am no spring chicken, so I don't like going on the roof, but I have to."
Hey, if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it.
Yep. And then John Dornbush said, "It's really simple. My dad farmed until he was 78, then Mom talked him into retiring."
Yep, good for him. You know what? Those old guys are tough. They had higher testosterone than we do.
Oh.
But yeah, I got to give him kudos. And my dad had a quadruple bypass when he was 66. I think he was 66 or 67.
I was gonna say, I don't know how old he was, but yeah, it was around then.
Yeah, and that took a lot of wind out of his sails. So if that didn't happen to him, who knows what he'd be doing? He'd probably be doing laps around the house. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, just to get away from Grandma.
Right. Grandma might drive him a little crazy.
Just a little bit. Ron Ike says, "Hi, hey, Don and Brandon."
Hey, Ron. Yeah, he didn't recognize you. He says,
What?
Yeah. He said, well, I hadn't seen you since you were that big.
Well, I mean, he helped me with my truck. When I
Oh,
was
that's
sick.
right. He put
Yeah.
the glass in it for you. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Ron used to work for me ages ago. I don't even know how long ago it was now. We were still on Canton Road back then.
Yeah.
That was back in the 80s, I think. So it's been a while.
Yep.
But yeah, cool.
Yep. Old School Twist says, my dad is 91 next month and has slowed down considerably, but as far as reactions are concerned, he's still like riding with Auto Man. And last week it was Big O, not just O.
Big O.
And BNR Racing says, hey, Don and Brandon.
Hello there.
So,
Well, I'm glad you guys were all able to get away from the women tonight so you could come hang out with us.
yeah.
And my wife asked me, she goes, well, how many you think are going to show up tonight? And I said, all of them.
Yeah.
A little bit of sarcasm. So, but
Ron says from 87 to 92.
87 to 92, yep.
And he came and helped you out a little bit down in Mogador too, didn't he?
I don't know. That was Brad Johnson that came down there. Yep. But yeah, when we moved down there, that was a few years after Ron went. I think he went to work for LKQ then.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, yep. Good to see all you guys tonight. I didn't know for sure how many was going to show up with Valentine's Day. If you guys are good husbands or boyfriends or whatever.
Well, I was gonna say, BNR Racing said everyone must be older Valentine's Day, and here we are.
Hanging out with an old guy.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
GTO John says, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Storm coming tomorrow?
Storm.
SMMTORM. Storm. I don't know.
In here?
I don't know. Where does he live at? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know that Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, they got hit hard at the beginning of the week. They got multiple tornadoes. Actually, on Super Bowl Sunday.
It's crazy. I tell you what, the southern states have been getting hit way harder than us this year in the northeastern part of the United States. Normally, I mean, we only had, a week of cold weather this year?
Really cold, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 30 degrees is not cold for us. So.
Well, no, but I mean, it's still cold. But yeah, no, like normal Ohio winter, yeah, it was like maybe a week, if that.
And it
snowed twice.
yeah, and it didn't get real bitter cold. Now, of course, we're not out of the woods yet. It's still February, and we got March yet. But
April too.
Yeah, I got married April 18th, and it snowed the day before and the day after I got married. The day that my wife and I got married, it was 60 degrees and sunny.
Oh, in Ohio.
Yeah, how does that happen? And then we went to the Poconos for our honeymoon, and on the trip there, it snowed, and it snowed in the Poconos. I mean, it was snowy the whole week we were there. So we got to spend a lot of time in the room.
Yeah. Philip the Third says, I recall you guys mentioning an aluminum block last week. Let's talk about that some more. And he also said his wife passed.
Sorry to hear that, Phil.
Yep, that's not fun. Old School Twist says, I still have a few things to gather for my turbo motor. Any idea when the new block you were talking about last week will come into fruition?
That's going to be a little ways out yet, but I'm going to work on that. Don't worry. I got to get these 2 new cylinder heads done first, and as soon as I get those done, then we're going to start tackling those projects.
And then GTO John says, storm coming tomorrow, and I'm thinking about my Diamond Pistons en route from my 535 Toronto.
Heck yeah. What's more important?
And then BNR Racing wants to know what the topics are for tonight.
Well,
A mixture of things, really.
yeah, it's just kind of a hodgepodge tonight. One of the things I want to talk about is I shared with you guys, I want to build something for Drag Week. And I was kicking around the idea of a Datsun 280Z because I've seen a couple of them online, and there's actually one on Facebook right now. And I talked to the guy a couple of times about maybe going and looking at it. It's down in Tennessee, but he already tubbed it, and it's got a Ford 9-inch under it and everything. And he had a small block Chevy in it at one time. But anyhow, I was thinking about that, and then I thought, you know what? I'd like to keep it all Pontiac and keep a Pontiac engine and a Pontiac body. But everybody does Firebird or GTO, so I was thinking what Pontiac bodies would be cool that you don't see normally with a Pontiac engine, and that's why I threw out there the Solstice and the later model GTO. And I really like the 05, 06 GTO. Whenever you get those things dressed up and tubbed, they look badass, but they're heavy. That car weighs 4,090 pounds. And I know you can take weight out of them, but man, where are you going to take all that weight out? You'd have to take 1,000 pounds out of that car. That's a lot.
Like that, there's not really, the glass, the back seat, the interior, if you really want to go that far. But the whole body itself is the main structure of that car. If you start cutting that out, you have to go roll cage for
Yeah, it's double paneled, and it's all safety features. I don't know if you guys realize it or not, but these late model cars, they don't have to have a roll bar in them because of the double pillars and everything on the roof. And that's why you see these new Corvettes or new Camaros or whatever running 10s and there's no roll bar in them. They are actually safe if in a crash if they were to crash. And NHRA recognizes that. So, until they start going really fast, like 999 or quicker, I don't think they worry about having them guys put a cage in the car. But regardless, that GTO, and it's got an independent rear suspension, so we're going to have to put a solid live axle under the car. It does have a 4L60E in it right now, and I think the trans tunnel is big enough I could put a 4L80E in that thing.
Yeah.
And the Pontiac engine would go in no problem. There's plenty of room under the hood of that car.
You still have to fabricate a bracket.
Yeah, we'd have to make it work, but it would fit. It
Yep.
would go in there. So I don't know. We were kicking around all those ideas, but you know what? I've got that 71 Le Mans, and I do have it. Has a VIN, and I have a title for that car.
And it's set up.
And it's already tubbed. Yeah, it's already got a cage. It's already been down the racetrack several times. It's not a lightweight though. That car, I think.
It probably weighs 3,500 pounds.
I think with a driver, it's 3,600. So I got to take 500 pounds out of that car because I really, really want to make sure I'm in the nines. And that's why I shared earlier with you guys my dad's combination, observed horsepower at 3,000 feet and corrected horsepower at sea level. Because very seldom do you ever race at sea level. Unless you're lucky enough to live on the East Coast somewhere where, some of them racetracks are below sea level. They're like 200-300 below.
Yep.
But around our area, typically you're going to be racing at 3,000 feet. So your, uncorrected horsepower is only, like my dad's car, is only 510 horsepower. And corrected, it's 616 horsepower. That's a big difference. 100 horsepower difference from, corrected and uncorrected. So that's why I shared with everybody with that tonight. And I got to take that into consideration. We got to try to get this car as light as we can, because even though dynoed horsepower, my engine makes 750 horsepower, uncorrected, and at 3,000 feet or whatever we are racing at with these tracks at Drag Week, it's probably only going to make 600, 625 or whatever. So it's going to be way lower than what you'll see on the dyno. And that's why I tell everybody, don't race dynos. Dynos don't mean shit. You go put it in the car, go show me what it does at the track, and then you can impress me. And if we don't get that car light enough, that car's not going to run in the nines. So we got to get it lightened up.
Do you think that we can overcorrect that a little bit, squeeze a little bit more horsepower since you're going fuel injection?
I'm probably, so my original plan was we were gonna do the 455 with the Ram Air 5 head, exactly like I was gonna sell it for the customer. But I've got an engine that is mine that I'm gonna put together, and we're gonna put it in the car, and then we're probably gonna sell this engine after drag week, and I'll build something else for next year. But
Well, we'll get back on that Iron Head.
yeah, we'll put the Ram Air 4 engine. We're going to get that in this summer too. I want to get that in the car too.
One step at a time here.
All right. But anyways, I've got the IE2 aluminum block, and I've got an ultralight. I think it's a scat crankshaft. So the counterweights have been pendulum cut, and it's been lightened up. And I've got Oliver connecting rods for that. I've got Ross. Ultralight piston for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that engine. It's 535 cubic inches, and I'm going to put that in the car, and we're going to do my CNC race port, or not race, but street strip port on the head. I'm not going to go the max port on this, and we're going to fuel inject it with the Holley snorkel top like they use on the LS high ram intake manifold, with a single throttle body on the front, and it's going to still be NA, normally aspirated, and it's going to probably be around 11.5 to 1 compression because we got to be able to run it on pump gas. And I haven't decided on the camshaft yet, but it's going to be pretty gnarly. And who knows, maybe that thing will end up making 800, 850 horsepower on pump gas, and if it does, then you know what, we're a shoe-in for 9-second ET driving that car.
Yep.
And so that's the plan now. It's kind of changed a little bit, only because I'm going to use parts I got around here, and something I was going to build anyway. And it'll make it fun, and going to make my son's butthole pucker because he's going to drive the car too.
Oh no, I'll love it.
I hope so.
Oh, I will.
Until it gets a little out of shape.
Nah, I'll just be like, well, we're gonna hit. We're going to
Hey,
hit.
you keep it off the wall and keep the sunny side
I'm
up.
going to try to keep it in between the ditches.
Between the ditches, bitches.
But you,
Motto every day when I drive.
I also like the thrill, so I might not lift.
If you're going to crash, you lift. I lift.
Well, that's the difference between you and I.
Yeah. You're not paying for it, I am. Yeah.
I'm going to make good YouTube content.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing too. We're going to take and we're going to YouTube that whole event when we go. So.
Yeah, we're going to the Hot Rod Drag Week in September.
Yep. That's the plan. So
Yeah.
we got a lot to do. So what I'm going to be doing, and I know Bill, he always volunteers, but we're going to, I'm going to have volunteers to get this car done this year if I want to go do this. But because my son's schedule's so busy and I'm so busy, but we are going to have to make time. We're going to have to work Saturdays and Sundays. You know that, right? So we got to do what we got to do to get this car done.
You don't have any good sleeping spots around here anymore.
You don't need to. Yes, I do. There's a beautiful couch over there.
Yeah, it has Bondo
and there's a
dust.
fireplace right across
It has
from it.
Bondo dust all over it.
You blow it off.
The fireplace is not lit.
Well, not right now. It works.
I don't want it lit in July.
Let's see here. Let's get caught up on some comments here. Jeff Downey says, my wife is watching with me. So that's a good wife.
Awesome. That's an awesome wife.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Jason Long says, let's talk about how to put a V8 in Mandy's Jeep. She still can't handle it.
Yeah, that's scary. That's got a really short wheelbase. You know, I've driven V8 Jeeps, and they are not fun to drive.
John Dornbush says, stretch a solstice.
Yeah, not allowed to stretch the wheelbase for drag week. They have to be factory wheelbase. And if you run a tube chassis, then you got to run in the Pro Street or the Unlimited class. And I don't have the pocketbook to go out and run 6 flat with a street car. Those guys, you know what? They can play at that arena. I'm not spending that kind of money.
Brian Whitaker says, good evening.
Good evening, Brian.
Old School Twist said there is a 30s four-door sedan at the junkyard by his house. Be kind of neat lowering and on a chassis.
That would be awesome.
It still has the Flathead 6 in it.
Perfect.
Brian Whitaker says you going to chassis it or back half. So that's
It's just back half.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
it's
back
got a
half
factory
part, yeah.
frame from like back of the seat forward.
Jeff Downey says 1977 Can-Am.
Those are cool too. I already got the vehicle pick though. I already own it, so it's my Judgment Day car. We might even have a picture of that somewhere.
What, the one that's in the garage?
Yeah.
Hold up, I think I do.
Can you share it on our Facebook
I can send
or
it
our
to Brandon
YouTube?
if you can.
Hey, you know what? We were supposed to go on Facebook Live tonight too. Did you do that?
We were?
Yeah.
I didn't. You didn't tell
Oh.
me this.
Yeah, I messaged it to you. Look at your messages. You don't love me no more. You never message me back or nothing.
It's your phone. Yours and mom's phone do not communicate with ours.
Whatever.
Last
Mom probably thinks we dropped off the face of the earth.
last thing that I got from you was make sure you bring that steel plate back.
Yeah, well, we had to do that too.
That's the last thing I got.
Well, see if you can find a race car in there. I don't know if you can find that or not. I just shared a picture of it on Facebook. How do you get all my pictures on there?
Because I'm on
My webpage?
Yeah, your Facebook.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if it's on there or not. It might
It's
be.
probably DCI.
It would be right around July of 2023 because we did our podcast right after that, remember? That's when we started.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you guys. You know what? You're helping us grow this thing. We've only been doing this not even a year yet. We started we
Yeah.
got back from vacation in 2023, which was what? August?
No, July.
Well, we were in Myrtle Beach in June.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
yeah, we started this in July.
Yeah, and we're already at 3,000 subscribers, so that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. That's for helping grow this. But yeah, but anyhow, I've got this 71 Le Mans I bought from a customer of mine, Joe Camp, good customer of mine. And it's already been back halved, and it's a beautiful job. The guy, whoever built the chassis on this car, did a nice job. The only thing that I wish he would have done, it's not a 4-link, it's a ladder bar car. But that's okay. Less adjustment and easier to get the suspension dialed in. Does have wheelie bars on it though.
Yep.
And it's a cool looking car. And I'm going to leave it a Le Mans. I was going to make it a GTO, and I thought, yeah, you know what? You see a ton of GTOs. I'm going to just leave it a 71 Le Mans.
Yeah, it's called Judgment Day because there's that pun, but
Yeah, but and that's on the side. Now, I don't know, some of you guys may have been in Drag Week, and and I need to find out. I'm going to rely on a lot of you guys to see if I have to take the lettering off the side of the car. I know they said something about letters have to be covered up on a car, but I don't know. I don't know what's involved with that. I don't know what they'll let you get away with and what you won't. They won't let you get away
this
with.
is our first. July 13th was our first actual YouTube posting.
Okay, so there you go. And that's the car right behind us.
Yep.
Well, we got the car though. It was like late spring, early summer because that's when we moved to Laser.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't do our first podcast until July though. So.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you guys have been helping us grow, and that's awesome. And we haven't been doing it that long, and people tell me I'm doing really, really well. Ben from the car farm, he stopped by the other day, and
Yeah, we
he's-
need to have that group on with us one night.
Yeah, another thing is too is we need to get Richard Guido on here too. He just did the long haul. It was Sick Week with his 65 GTO, and that is one badass ride. It's a turbocharged deal, but he ran, I think his best ET was an 850 something. And I don't know what his mile an hour is, but at ET, he had to be well in the, like 160 range, I would say.
I thought I showed this car off, but apparently I did not.
And he
I have it somewhere.
And he drove that car for Sick Week, and I don't know how many miles is Sick Week. Does anybody know?
I think it's 1,200.
Is it only 1,200? Seemed like it was longer than that.
So.
1,200 one way? Because them guys were, I mean, they were driving a lot. They were driving at night in the snow. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, so we're going to do the Le Mans. And I got to put a dash in that car yet. So, because it has to have a factory dash in it. And right now it's got a sheet metal dash in it. And I got to rewire it because it's a race car. It doesn't have any directionals or headlights or brake lights or anything like that. I think it does have one headlight, but yeah, so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to build that 535 aluminum engine, and whenever I get done with that deal and we get it all dialed in, it's going to be fuel injected, run on pump gas. It might make 850 horsepower. I hope it does, and if it does, then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to sell that engine after we get done with it for drag week, and then I'm going to build something else for next year's drag week with a turbocharger, I think, unless we aren't successful this year. You know, we're talking big for our britches right now. We're acting like we're going to make it through the whole week, and we don't know if that's going to happen or not.
We got it.
I hope you're right. I know how grueling it is.
With the good sponsors of DCI Motorsports, we got it.
Yeah. I got to start me a GoFundMe page so I can pay my bills at home.
Brandon, let me send it to you through Messenger, so send it to your phone as a text message.
But yeah, so that's the plan. That's what we're going to do this with that Le Mans this year, and hopefully we can get some decent ETs out of that thing. There was something else I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight too, and I don't remember what it was. We talked about the stickers, talked about Grandpa's car, talked about the drag week thing, talked about Grandpa's car combo.
BNR Racing says a 1990s Pontiac Grand Prix two-door could work. He owned a 92 Grand Prix 3.1 V6, was pretty light, had to convert to all-wheel drive pro stock chassis. So that would be putting you in the pro mod.
Yeah. As it is, we're going to have to run the Pro Street class, I think, now, which I don't like because those guys are fast. I think the NA guy, the fast NA guy last year ran an 860, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, they're fast.
Old School Twist says, so you're doing the Terminator X-Max multi-port. That's what I have. Tunnel ram with LSX style top and 102 millimeter throttle body.
Yep, something like that, yep.
John Dornbush says, come race it here at Cordova Dragway, 600 feet above sea level, Arnie Beswick home track.
Yeah. Well, we're going to drive the crap out of this car. We're going to put a 4L80E in it. I was going to do a 4L60E, but, and everybody's right. You know, the 4L60E's got a lot of issues. They do have parts to make them live for 1,000 horsepower now, and I just went through the training of my Suburban, which is a 4L60E, and I beat that thing up a ton. But looking at the insides of that thing, I don't know if it can take the abuse of, 850 horsepower and 700 foot-pounds of torque.
So if anybody would love to donate a vendor's gear overdrive.
Gear vendor?
Yeah, gear vendor overdrive for a Turbo 400.
Well, now, I like the 4L80E, and the reason I like it is because we can have a lock-up converter. So when we're cruising from track to track, we can lock the converter up, and because it's going to be a stall converter. We're going to have to run about a 5,000 stall in this thing.
Oh, love it.
Uh-huh.
All right,
So I like the 4L80E because we can lock the converter up on the highway, and the car's got right now a 410 gear in it. But I'm thinking because the RPM range of the Ram Air 5 heads, we're going to have to put a 457 gear in the car, and because it's a 9-inch Ford. But we'll find out. We're going to hopefully get this thing together.
We got a huge tire on it, so
I think it's a 32-inch tall tire. I do believe. It's 32 or 32 and a half.
it might be 32 and a half, but still, I mean, that's a big tire, but
Yeah.
we're not going to run that tire though. That's a slick.
Right.
So we're going to go with a 28.
That's something else too. If any of you guys have been involved with Drag Week, tell me if I have to run slicks or if you can run a DOT tire. Because, you know, I'm crazy enough. We can drive on our DOT tire and race on that DOT tire. I'll do that.
I've seen guys race on DOT tires there.
Well, I don't know if the Pro Street class, if you're allowed to do that though. You know,
Because I know the guys will take regular radials and put them on their car and put the slicks up on like the roof rack or a trailer.
Right.
But
That's what I'm thinking we're going to have to do too. So, and you're not allowed to have a support team. You got to take everything with you, and only people who are going to be in that car is my son and I. That's it. We're not allowed to take nobody else with us. So whenever that tranny line blows,
I'm already deaf in this here from your transmission issues.
I don't care. You're younger than me. You're going to climb under that car.
Bill says, I'm in. And Philip III says, I can turn a wrench, bodywork, not so much, but I am doing anything important, I can volunteer. Oh, he's not doing anything important. He can volunteer.
Where do you live at, Phil? Hopefully close.
And then Old School Twist says, John Dornbush, I'm kind of in your area. Did you ever see the 2 Hell and Back 57 Chevy run there? I'm sure I could get a cheap deal on that car. Philip III says, I am one of 3,000. Jason Long says, send a pic to your phone. Oh, boy. And
My phone or your phone?
Mine.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, he's got one, too.
Oh, he got a picture of the car. How'd he get it?
He probably got it off my Facebook.
Oh. It looks like he took it.
Cindy Johnston, my mom, says, trying to get the original goat on tonight. And Philip III says, you are doing well, Don. Keep up the good work, both of you. We'll just skip Mom's comment. And then Philip III
Aw, she's gonna get you.
says...
What is she going to do to me?
Well, she said, then Brandon is not getting in the car. Mom has spoken.
Bull crap.
We're skipping that comment. If you're going to sell the engine, I'll trade you 14.5 acres, Philip III said.
Hey, that's right.
And then Cordova, I know that track. I know of it, though. My old buddy, Broadway Bob Metzler, as well as Arnie Breswick, raced there, Philip III said.
That's a cool track with a lot of history.
Trampus Wingo, I am so thankful for a consistent, dedicated Pontiac podcast. Wish I would have found you all sooner. Been a big fan of Don's for a while.
Thank you, sir.
And
Appreciate
any
that.
slick or drag radial, no hard tread street tires.
Oh, so you're not allowed to run a street tire then. What about a DOT like M&H or something like that?
Or like a Mickey Thompson one.
Yeah, something like basically a slick with a little bit of tread in it. The only thing is the weather in September can be really good or it can be really bad. It just
Especially
depends.
in that area that we're going to be going to.
Yeah.
It's going to be the southern part of Michigan, but it's still northern enough to where they can get a free Canadian snowstorm going through.
Well, not in September.
Oh, yeah.
September?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because Jamie's family, or not family, but her mom, they're up in the northern part of Michigan, but they have like feet of snow usually sometimes.
Well, that's way up in the peninsula part of Michigan.
Yeah.
We're not going to be that close.
Our property's in the peninsula, like
Yeah.
Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
No, where we're going to be at, we'll get rain, and it'll probably be 70 to 80 degrees. So hopefully we get a good forecast that week. There's a picture of the car.
Yep.
There it is. That's a cool car. And the only thing that's fiberglass on that car right now is the hood. And
Are you just showing off my design?
yep,
Sure.
show your cup up.
If anybody wants a cute little cow for the top of their 40-ounce muscle cup,
Yeah, baby. I like it.
Glitter.
You'd be the hit of the party drinking your beer out of that, I can tell you. Hey, you know what? We do have women watching tonight. They might be interested in that.
Hey, you never know.
Right.
Over here making 40 ounces.
My son and daughter-in-law, they got their own little business on the side that she does cups and
Cups.
they do laser cutting of signs and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yep.
But
Jason Long says, make a small trailer. That's what we're probably going to have to do. Or modify your black trailer that we have already.
yeah, you know what? I'd like to do the open trailer because it doesn't have as much weight, but we'd have to probably build some kind of a box or something on the floor of it so we can keep all our tools and stuff. So,
Yep. So
people
they don't
don't
fall
see
out.
it.
Yeah, well, that
people
too.
don't see it. Yeah.
Philip III says, I have an old story about Arnie and how my old man used to beat him at the old Oswego drag strip.
Yep. There's a lot of guys that beat Arnie. There's a lot of guys he beat too. So,
Yep. Jason Long says, nope, Aiden sat in it. Oh, that's right. Aiden did sit in it. Jason's little boy, Aiden,
Oh.
he was checking out the car. He's like, wow. And I go, you want to sit in it? And you should have seen his eyes light up.
That's awesome.
Yep.
But anyhow, that car's all steel and has all the factory glass in it still too. So
Yep.
we can take some weight off that car, but I'm not allowed to put any fiberglass fenders or doors on the car. I can put Lexian in it. It already has a fiberglass hood, and the front bumper on those cars isn't heavy like a 70 GTO is. So really, we wouldn't save a lot if we did a fiberglass bumper, but we could. You know, the big thing is it's got all steel floor and firewall in that car, and I
Yep.
can't take that out. I'm not. They want the factory firewall in it.
And we're going to have to put more wiring in and a dash in.
Yep.
So we're going to be adding weight, so we're going to take more weight out.
Yeah, so I don't know where we're gonna. I mean, we cut the inside of the doors out, and make door panels out of aluminum.
Though that's already done.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh man.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know where you're going to take weight from.
I don't know how do those guys get those things lightened up? Does it have tubular control arms on it now? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does now.
So we could take some weight off there. But yeah, that car's heavy. I mean, those cars from the factory weighed what, 3,700 pounds?
Yeah,
And,
around there.
Yeah, right around 3,700. But with the Ford 9-inch under it now and the roll cage in it, because it's got a cage, not a roll bar. And
And we're going to have to put another seat in it.
yep, well, it's got 2 seats in it now, doesn't it?
No,
All
just
right.
one.
Okay. So yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
If it weighs 3,500, it weighs 3,500. I'm used to racing heavyweights.
Matt Johnston, which is my uncle, your brother,
Yep.
just got the old man caught up on tonight's podcast. Jamie is right, though, about him being a badass.
Oh yeah, and there ain't no doubt.
Old School Twist says the cheap deal was for 30 Pontiacs. I know it's a Pontiac, but if you check out Sinister's 57 Chevy, I painted it, not the lettering, but the paint.
Yeah, cool.
And John Dornbush says, Arnie Beswick says, Don is a smart man. I agree. I don't know. I never heard him say that.
What?
That you're a smart man.
Arnie Beswick said that?
Yeah.
Arnie's my buddy.
I think you might have said you're a smart ass.
No, he likes me.
Trampus said they just want to pressure the surface prep of the track, or preserve the surface prep of the track. So that, I mean, that makes sense. You want to, you want a somewhat of a
You don't want
soft
to run
tire.
street tire. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. So we'll probably have to take a spare set of wheels and tires. And that's probably not a bad idea anyway. We get a flat tire on the road, we'll have a spare.
Chris Mansell says, hey guys, is it adventurous for Pontiac exhaust port to point downward, or is a disadvantage? Oh, advantage for the point down.
So I think what you're asking is because it's got that dog leg in it, is it bad or good? And think about it this way, because I thought about that long and hard, and of course, porting the head's going to help a lot. But you think about it, whenever you bolt a header on a small block Chevy head, what do? Put a dog leg in it, don't you? Mm-hmm. You got to turn it down. It's got to go in the chassis. So what difference does it make if you do it in the cast iron or if you do it in a header tube? Same thing. It's going to happen no matter what. You can't avoid it unless you run it out the side of the car or up the up through the hood. Then it would be maybe, and even then you got to still put that turn in it. So I don't. Everybody gets all cranked up about that, but honestly, the exhaust side is not the problem with the Pontiac head. It's the intake side. Our itty bitty baby ports, our little peanut small block Chevy intake port sucks. You need a big port, and we don't have a big enough port. So it's not the exhaust that's hurting Pontiac engines. It is the intake port. And if you can get that cross-sectional area up like we're doing with them ram air foreheads that I'm porting right now for the other engine we're going to put in this car, that thing's going to, I think that thing's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, because I mean, if you actually paid attention to that build and see, we need to get caught up and refresh everyone's memory with it, but my dad's doing a lot of work to the intake side. You've done a lot of work to the exhaust side, but a lot of work to the intake side.
Yeah, those heads were already ported on the exhaust, and I am not touching them. They're going to be run as is, the way I ran them 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And but the intake port's going to be huge compared to what I used to run. And I made 727 dyno horsepower, and I know that's a corrected number, but it showed pretty darn close to that a lot of tracks we went to. Ron might remember, I mean, that car ran like 136, 138 mile an hour and weighed 3,680 pounds with me in it. It was a badass hot rod, and I drove it on the street.
Whatever happened to your Grand Prix?
A guy named George Sunday, which I think he watches our podcast. He might be here tonight. I don't know if he or George pipe in a little bit, but
Your maroon one?
yeah, he bought it, and him and his brother, and they tubbed it and painted it black.
Oh, okay.
So that was a clean car.
That was a very clean car.
So yeah, that's where that car's at now. And I made the fiberglass bumpers on that car. I made the hood on that car.
Had the whole dash in it.
Yep, and it was a pretty much factory car with power windows, power steering, power brakes. I mean, everything was power on that car, and all steel car except for the hood and bumpers. And weighed 3,680 after I lightened it up a little bit. I scraped all the undercoating off of that car. I don't remember if Ron helped me with that or not, but I scraped all the undercoating off and weighed it, and it weighed 26 pounds. That was a lot of undercoating on that car.
Philip III said, seriously, I can come to Ohio and volunteer if you would like me to. I'm not that bad at the old Pontiac stuff, and I know what you want to do, so let me know.
I appreciate it. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do a weekend, and we'll get our sleeping bags and sleep here in retail.
Camp out.
Yep, we'll be camping. I got bathrooms. I don't have a shower, but we got bathrooms.
4L80E torque converters are real expensive compared to a Turbo 400. It may shock you.
They're a couple grand, I know, unfortunately.
Yeah, they are. For a good one.
But I think that's an important factor for this deal that we're doing. We really need a Lockat converter.
What if we...
Either that or do a manual tranny.
Oh, God, no. I can't do a manual tranny that fast.
Well, you'd have to learn how to shift. Or, you know what? I got a really cool transmission.
Oh, let's do that.
Have you guys ever heard of a Jeffco? Can you find a picture of the Jeffco? It's a Lanco, but it's street. You can use it on the street. A guy named Jeff used to work for Lanco, and he tried to talk Lanco into doing a street version of their race transmission, and because everybody used the Lancos in funny cars and top sportsman and pro mod and everything, but Lanco did not want to put or make it streetable. And so Jeff went off on his own and called it Jeffco, and now it's basically a Lanco that you can drive on the street, and it's badass, and I got one of those.
That would be sweet.
Yep, and mine looks just like that one right there. And you can run an automatic converter with that too. The only thing is,
400 one or?
Yeah, but we can't lock it up.
Why?
But I would rather put a clutch.
It doesn't have like a solenoid in it?
Yeah, it costs a lot of money to make it a lockup. But a clutch wouldn't be bad with that. Because you're not having to push it in every time you shift. You're just yanking levers.
Right.
That's all you're doing. You're using the clutch to start and stop. That's it. So we could do something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But I've got one of those. I've got a Jericho, which is a clutchless transmission too. And
Jericho wouldn't be bad either.
Yep, Jericho. It's probably a little bit lighter than a Lanco, or that Jeffco. I got options. We got lots and lots of options. I got a lot of parts. So I've been accumulating this stuff for 40 years. And a lot of it hasn't been used yet. That Jeffco's brand new. That Lanka or that Jericho, it's probably only got maybe 2,000 street miles on it.
John Dornbush said Pontiac engineers purportedly put the dog leg on the exhaust to make it easier to remove the manifolds from underneath the car.
Yep, it makes it easier to work on spark plugs too.
Remember, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead, son.
Philip III says, remember, I'm in the good part of Florida. I'll text you. So he's way down yonder on the other side of the.
Yeah, he's way south.
Yeah, he's on the other side of the rock.
I love your brother, but man, I don't want to do that to you. That's a long haul.
Really sent you a message from your mom.
And then Ron Ike said, I remember working on it 3 days straight when you broke the head of the intake valve.
Yeah, that was my own dumb fault too. My temper got the best of me on that deal, and I kicked myself. Matter of fact, whenever I do the video on the heads when we start doing the update on it, I'll show you the damage, the carnage of that, me being a dumbass. But it seems like every time I get ready to do an event, every time something breaks, every time. So I went to go get the car filled with fuel and went over to, and because it's a street car, I drove it on the street, and I'm driving it back and it starts misfiring. I'm thinking, you gotta be kidding me. We were literally gonna load it on the trailer that night and go to the track. And I pulled it back over to the shop, and I knew what it was, and it was my own stupidity. I should have never done what I did, but lesson learned, control your temper because it costs you money. And anyhow, that was bad. I over-revved the shit out of that thing, and it was bouncing a valve off the piston, and it broke the head off the valve. Lucky for me, it bounced off the piston and wedged itself up in the cylinder head and didn't go anywhere. Otherwise, it could have been way worse than what it was.
BNR Racing says Cone Racing did make a lockup turbo 400.
I looked at them though, man. For a lockup turbo 400 with converters, like $18,000. It's stupid money. Yeah.
18,000?
Yeah, $18,000.
Holy moly!
Yeah, so that's how the plan right now.
Philip III says, yes, I know the Jeffco, never used one. Then Brian Whitaker says, yes, manual, that automatic uses too much horsepower.
It does.
Yeah, but with the Jeffco, I think that'd be cool to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what all your top sportsmen and pro mod and alcohol funny cars, all those guys run those.
Yep. And everyone, I do want to mention, my wife just said, is Grandpa still on, Matt? Hi, Grandpa. I do want to say, everyone say hi to Grandpa because he is watching.
Yep, the old man's watching tonight, it sounds like, which he never watches us.
Nope. So.
He'd rather watch TV. And that's okay. But yeah.
But. Yeah, that's what it is.
You what?
It's because I'm not on the podcast.
Oh, is that what it is? Come over here. Let me show him your purple and pink hair.
Yeah. Come over here, babe.
Yeah, come here. This is a voice.
Yeah,
you know what?
come
Somebody
on.
was asking me the other day, what's the voice in the background?
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, here she is. This is my daughter-in-law.
What do I look at?
That camera.
Right there. That's my baby girl. My other baby girl. My daughter lives in Nashville, Tennessee.
She's got normal color hair.
Yeah, she's normal.
Yeah. And Philip III says you might want to talk to M&M Transmissions. I think that's what it says. M&M Transmissions.
Well, you can get a Bruno drive for that Lenco or Jeffco, and it's got a torque converter, but I don't know if they have a lockup version of it or not, but they might, and if they do, then that might be an economical way to do it because I already have the Jeffco. So, we'll see. I don't know.
I just saw the
I don't.
replay.
Hey, Matt, did you tell Dad that what I figured out his horsepower at? So I don't know if he was on online whenever I was talking about all that or not. Probably not. But let him know that at Norwalk it showed about 510 horsepower at the flywheel, and corrected at sea level would be right around 620 horsepower. So the old man's got a badass hot rod engine.
Yep.
For what it is.
The 4L80 needs nothing if you truly going to be at 800 horsepower. Can use it bone stock.
Yep.
And then John
Maybe
Dorn,
a 34 element Sprague, but that's about it.
yeah. John Dornbush says Lenco also makes a street version rated at 1200 horsepower, uses alloy housing instead of magnesium and different alloy of gear. Also make Lenco drive that uses a torque converter instead of clutch.
Yep. They're like a Bruno drive.
And Mandy says hi, Jamie. Jamie says hi back. I think, what was the other transmission you got?
I got the Jericho. I got
The Jericho, that's
and
right.
a Jeffco. And I've got a Turbo 400. I've got a couple Turbo 400s with manual valve bodies in them. And I do have a 4L80E. I haven't rebuilt it yet, but I've got a 4L80E too. So I got lots of options there. Problem with a clutch on a trip like that, I mean, I'm trying to eliminate as many problems as possible. I want, because that trip's grueling as it is. And if anything you add to it is just going to multiply the problems. So I'm trying to make it simple, like the KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it stupid simple.
Yeah, keep it stupid simple too. But keep it simple, stupid.
1997 and up 4L80 has the 34 element Sprague stock.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. So
That's
yeah,
good to know.
that's a beefy transmission.
And they're
I think the
relatively
overdrive's 0.75, so it would knock a 457 gear down to like a 342 rear end gear.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Yep.
But those are relatively cheap out of the junkyards right now still.
I paid $600 for my core. It needs rebuilt.
Well, they need, yeah, they went up a little bit, but
Right.
I think they're still $1,000.
Well, you can buy a rebuilt one. They rate them at 550 horsepower, but like you just said, it's, they way underrate that stuff so they can sell you goodies. But their stock rebuild be plenty for what I need, and they sell them for right around $1,500, I think. But I can rebuild it here, so I'm not doing it myself. And while I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and beef some things up on it too.
Right.
We'll put the better clutches in it. Probably put a manual valve body in it with a tranny brake.
Yep.
Maybe.
Definitely got to do a tranny brake, popping wheelies.
Oh, heck yeah. But if we do that, with a lockup torque converter, I think that our fuel economy will be decent, and it won't overheat tranny when we're driving.
Yep.
So, because we're going to drive from Columbus to Indianapolis, and from Indianapolis, we're going to go clear to Michigan? Is
Yep.
that what you said?
Yep. Milan.
Holy cow, that's a long
And
drive.
then at least that's a break. It's from Milan all the way straight back to Columbus.
Well, it's about the same from Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Indianapolis is here and Columbus is here, and you're going to the same point.
Okay. So it
it's
might be
pretty-
shorter.
It's pretty close, yeah. So we'll see.
According to JW, when I asked them about a bell housing, you have to do a little work on the trans tunnel because of the spacer. They want to machine the pump, which I'm sure you could do.
Yep. That's no big deal. We can do that. And the block, I don't know how many you know it or not, but I designed the IA block. And way back, I think I started advertising for that way back in like the 80s. And but anyway, whenever I did it, I put the Chevy and the Pontiac bolt pattern on the back of the block.
Yep.
And that way you could use a Chevy or a Pontiac transmission on it. So I think the 4L80E It might have an extra bolt, but it doesn't need to be used, and it'll bolt right to the back of the factory or the IA block. So we'll have to mock that up and see.
Yep. For sure.
So yeah, so that's what's going on, guys. You know what? We got a pretty adventurous summer to look forward to, and we're going to be doing a lot of. I bought a head camera so that I can start videoing like porting heads and working on the car and doing whatever we're doing, so we can share it on our on YouTube and on Facebook and on our podcast.
And thank God he can't go live with it.
Yeah, I tried. The Bluetooth part of it sucks.
You'll be seeing him going pee, poop, and everything because he forgets he has it on.
We're not. No. You might get to see me go pee, but that'd be it. I'm not pooping with it.
Sure. So,
but what you're also going to see is me cussing a lot.
Well, that too. BNR Racing says my logic says to build for torque and hopefully 8 to 850 horse. No, it is hard to do for 9s. Those guys all have breakdowns on the real street.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I don't know why Drag Week doesn't cover more of the breakdowns on that, but the carnage is terrible on that trip.
Well, I noticed Sick Week is starting to cover more of it.
Are they?
A lot of those guys, when they break down, though, they're like, there's no one with cameras around.
It's the middle of the night.
Well, that, or they're going down, they left before everyone else did.
Yeah, that's you know what, that's grueling. Think about it. You're taking 700-800 horsepower and driving on the street. That's a true test of what that machine's capable of. And you better have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed.
Well, I think your cylinder head is proven it's.
Well, the durability of the cylinder head, I'm not worried about.
Well, I'm saying what the horsepower wise. I don't think that we're working the motor as hard as what you had to work it back whenever you're trying to make that kind of horsepower.
You're going to be working it harder. We're going to be spinning this thing to 7,500 RPM.
Yeah, but not when we're driving.
Oh, no. No, that's why I want the overdrive with the lockup.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, though, is like back then, whenever you guys were, shifting at 7,000 RPM, driving on the street and everything, you had to run high compression.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yep. It was 12, 13 to 1 compression, and I ran 373 gear in my car, but we still, when you drove it to the track with a 373 gear and a 28-inch tall slick, that thing was buzzing 4,000 RPM on the way to the track.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to keep that down. Hopefully we can get it under 3,000. If we can stay somewhere around 2,800, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, I think that the motor will get really good gas mileage around there too.
I hope so. And then the other part of it is too, we're going to have fuel injection, which makes it a little bit more drivable.
Yep.
And we're going to use BAM lifters, Brad's lifters down in Florida, and those are super durable. So a lot of guys in Drag Week use that lifter. And it's going to be a hydraulic profile cam. It's not going to be a solid lifter cam, so the ramp speed is going to be way slower, so I don't need a lot of spring pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think if we can get in the 9s and consistently run 9s and make it around trip, I think that's one hell of a motor.
The goal is to make it through Drag Week, and then the second goal is to run consistently in the mid-9s for Drag Week. If we can do that, then we conquered what we're out to do.
Yep.
And that would be awesome.
And this motor combo too, I don't know if my dad said it or not, but this is going to be like a prelude to a crate motor.
Yep, I did tell him that, and I told him that we're going to probably, this one's going to be a 535, so, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more horsepower than the 455. I mean, look up on the internet, Poncho makes 2 horsepower per cubic inch. That's my article. They did an article on my test mule when I first came out with these heads.
Yep.
And we didn't make 2 horsepower per cubic inch, and a lot of guys busted the poor editor's balls about it. But we did pretty good. I think it made like 1.6 or 7. I don't remember.
I thought it was 1.7.
And but it
that
made
was what the 455.
Yeah, it was a 455, and I thought it had 11.5 to 1 compression. It didn't. It only had 10.23, And so the compression was way lower than I anticipated, and we didn't know anything about timing at that time, what the cylinder head liked.
Yeah, everything was new.
Yeah, and it still made a couple passes on the dyno made 770, but consistently it made 750. So.
And didn't the guy say that he was astonished with how much or how less fuel it was using?
Yeah, we only used on that dyno session, and we pulled that engine a lot. I mean, a lot. Probably we put 30 pulls on that engine, which is a lot for a dyno. And it only, I think he told me he only used like 4 gallons of fuel for all those pulls.
Wow.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah. And then you took that motor and we used it for Pontiac Nationals in Danny Eastep's car, right?
Yep, we put it in Danny's GTO. Now, we didn't do so good at the Pontiac Nationals with it. We had trouble with
issues with
a
lot of things.
Well, what happens, we switched it over from gasoline to alcohol because Danny wanted it to run cool, and that's what his car was set up to do, and it didn't like it. So we ended up switching it back to gasoline, and Danny did end up running nine teens at like 148 mile an hour in his car with that engine.
And now, is that when he took it home with him?
Yeah.
You let him continue to test with it.
Yep. And he would have kept that engine in the car for a little longer too, except for it broke. We had a comp cams roller lifter in that car or engine, and looking back on it now, I should have never had those lifters in the engine because they're spindly and they can't take the abuse. And it literally snapped the lifter in two.
Huh.
It didn't hurt the cam. It didn't hurt a push rod. It didn't hurt a valve spring or a rocker. It just what it did is it broke the lifter right in two.
Or the lifter, yeah.
And we lucked out because it tossed it up and it landed inside of the valley in there and didn't fall down in the engine, or it would have tore up the engine too. So
that's good.
Yeah, we were lucky all the way around on that deal.
Yep.
And Danny was just getting ready. We were trying to figure out torque converters, and Danny was getting ready to change the converter. And we really feel like it probably would have went a 9.0 with a converter change.
Yep.
At close to 150 mile an hour instead of 148.
B&R Racing said they made 3 different versions of the 4L80, small Chevy, big Chevy, 454, and then LS.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Interesting. I wonder what the differences are on all of them.
And then Mom said, I think Don Sr. needs to be on a podcast. That would be awesome to see 3 generations of Pontiac enthusiasts.
Yeah. We get Grandpa on here, we get Luke on here, it'd be 4 generations.
Yep.
So yeah, we could do that.
Yep.
I mean, after all, we had Jaime on there tonight.
Right?
You could only be so lucky to have me on there every day.
You know I love you.
Well, guys, it is Valentine's Day, and it is 8:12, so we should probably let you get back to your loved ones. And
yep, you better go rub Mama's butt and make her happy. I know I got to go rub my Mama's butt.
yeah, I'm going to just tell my wife I love her.
Yeah, poor Fred.
She'll be sleeping on the way home.
She will
He's
be.
got a long ride home. They live over in Canal Fulton, which is roughly a 40-minute ride from here.
Yep, 45 minutes, yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, we'll have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving,
Have
y'all.
a happy Valentine's Day. I don't even know why it's a Thanksgiving. and we'll talk to you next week.
You must
and,
want turkey.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yep. Good night, y'all. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep.